and welcome to Pandora's Box. This is Kaleah, and today we're going to ask the question, why can't I let go? Addiction, narcissistic abuse, and what's my hook? Believe it or not, these all go together. The biggest struggle that people have when involved in a narcissistic relationship is to let go. If I ask a client why she believes she can't let go, she will usually say, I really love him, or I really love her. The idea that we can't let go because we're in love with a narcissist is a false idea. A narcissistic relationship has very little to do with love. I was talking to an old friend who knew a narcissistic ex. And we sort of revisited my relationship with him, and I said, I did really love him. She reminded me that I loved who I believed that he was, not who he really was. And I had to say thank you, because I knew this was true. I loved the man he portrayed himself to be. Sometimes we need those reminders. We need to be reminded that we fell in love with an illusion. And when that illusion came crashing down, we were left with a reality so difficult to comprehend that we often simply dismiss it. We go into denial and convince ourselves that the person we believed we were in love with is the real deal. We tell ourselves stories like, he's just going through a hard time right now, but he'll come around and go back to his old self. But the truth is, there is no old self. Once the mask has fallen and you see Mr. Hyde rear his ugly head, you are seeing the real deal. Dr. Jekyll is just the mask. He's the pretend guy. Or the pretend gal. He is the illusion, the fantasy. We get it backwards and believe that Dr. Jekyll is who this person really is. We brush off Mr. Hyde, the monster, as a freak of nature that's not going to stay. When we find ourselves going back and forth between Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, we want to believe that Dr. Jekyll is who this guy really is, and Mr. Hyde is the lie. It's really the other way around. Mr. Hyde is who he really is, and Dr. Jekyll is the lie. We weren't in love with Mr. Hyde. How's that even possible? We are in love with Dr. Jekyll, who isn't even real. Dr. Jekyll is the mask. It is the cover-up for the one who is truly incapable of loving. The first reason people can't let go of a narcissist is they cannot align with the truth of who that person is. You may hold on to the belief that the love bomber from the beginning is the real deal and will return, admitting his or her mistakes and regrets and remorse for how awful he or she treated you. And this is a fantasy life. The inability to accept reality can keep you stuck in a false reality, one of your own creation. Life has a way of showing us the truth, but we don't want to see it. We close our eyes again and again and choose denial over truth. In order for us to truly let go, we would need to be willing to align with the truth and allow that truth to guide us. False realities always guide us falsely. Another reason women especially have a hard time letting go is that they tend to be very compassionate, empathetic creatures who end up feeling sorry for the narcissist. The narcissist in his or her radar for our weaknesses use our weaknesses against us. So if we have a tendency to feel sorry for the narcissist, he or she will use this to manipulate us. If we look like we're fed up, we're going to leave or walk away, the narcissist may play the pity card to suck us back in. I had a situation like this in my mid-20s. The guy I was with had previous issues with cocaine abuse and told me he had gone through treatment and was now clean and sober. So great, okay. Everybody makes mistakes, right? Clean and sober's good. But while I was doing laundry, I grabbed a pair of his jeans he left laying around to throw in the wash, and when I was checking the pockets, I found a razor blade and a small packet with traces of cocaine. I immediately confronted him and told him he needed to pack his stuff and leave. And after I did this, he fell to the floor crying, apologizing, telling me he's never going to do it again. He will never do it again. And then he said, "I have nowhere to go." Okay, so this guy had his own condo, a very nice one, but I still fell for it. The older me looks back at the younger me and says, "Really, Kaleah? You were so gullible." So I let him stay. And we ended up getting married and having a child together, and it was hell all the way to the divorce. What was I thinking? Well, the truth is I wasn't really thinking. I was being manipulated by my own weaknesses, and I wasn't smart enough to realize it. And when I did finally figure it out, my life had been completely turned upside down. On my 30th birthday, I was in the welfare office crying to the social worker about how awful it felt to be there, begging for help. It was my birthday. I was 5 months pregnant and penniless because my husband took every penny from our bank account. He stole my credit cards and ran them all up over the limit. He went on a major coke binge. He lost his job, so I lost my medical insurance. And he had taken the rent check out of the mailbox so he could take the money from the bank to support his habit without me finding out right away. And by the time I realized what was happening, I was in so much trouble. My husband, upon awakening from his coke stupor, began to realize the damage he did, and he needed a safe place to hide from me, of course. So he checked himself into a mental hospital where they diagnosed him with bipolar disorder. He was being taken care of, coddled, and supported in the hospital. Meanwhile, I was left with all the responsibility for our home. I was 5 months pregnant. I had 2 weeks to move out of our house without any idea of where I would go. I had no money. I had no health insurance for the birth of my baby. In addition, my husband had hidden my Jeep, which I bought myself and had a loan on, and left me with a tiny RX-7 sports car that I could barely get in and out of with my growing belly. It took me falling this low to finally get it. I knew I couldn't bring a child into this kind of crazy, so I left him laying in the hospital bed. His mother told me how ungrateful and unsupportive I was and said how she stood behind her husband to the very end, and that I should too. When I tried to tell her what her son had done, she said, "I don't want to hear it." How many of us could have spared ourselves these kinds of circumstances had we only paid attention in the very beginning when we are shown the truth? But there's a part of us that doesn't want to see the truth. We want to believe the lie. In my case, I was used to closing my eyes to the truth. I was accustomed to living in denial. It was my way of life. I was easy to manipulate. I was gullible. I didn't believe I deserved to be treated well. This was as happy as a relationship could get for me. At least that's what I believed. Our core wounds are another reason we don't let go. We have these beliefs that we don't deserve a truly happy relationship. We believe relationships are painful and filled with drama. We might even be used to being mistreated, lied to, manipulated, and unsupported. This may feel normal to us. A common belief many have is, I will never find another man or woman who I have these kinds of strong feelings for. This belief in scarcity keeps us holding on to what we think we've got for the fear that there will never be anything better, that this is as good as it gets. Another reason people can't let go is because they have post-traumatic stress disorder stemming from the narcissistic abuse and early childhood abuse. And they seek the temporary relief from anxiety they get when they are treated kindly by the narcissist. They hold a belief that if the narcissist can realize how wrong he or she has been and will make amends, that they'll be okay. So in a sense, they go to the source of their trauma for relief from the trauma. This, of course, is another fantasy because the word wrong and narcissist don't go together. You might have figured that out. Narcissists are never wrong. Somehow all the craziness you feel, your anxiety, your fear, your lack of trust, your needs for kindness, love, and support are interpreted by the narcissist as a sign that there's something wrong with you. Which leads me to the next reason people won't let go of a toxic relationship. They believe it is their fault. They are the one with the problem. If they just try harder, they can fix it. It's important to note that we all have issues, and when we choose narcissistic and abusive relationships, we usually do have some issues that need our attention. We have healing to do, and we know it, but we tend to see things from a perspective of black and white thinking. If I have problems, this means he doesn't. Or we flip and say, he is the problem and I don't have any. Either approach is not productive. We have to be willing to see our own issues, our weaknesses, and everything that keeps us holding on to a bad relationship. We have to delve into our fear of abandonment, our fear of rejection, our guilt, our shame, our sense of unworthiness, and everything that others can use to manipulate us. As we take our attention away from the narcissist or the abuser in our life and put it back on our own healing, we can grow in strength and finally cut the cords and walk away. We become addicted to the narcissist, which is probably the biggest reason we remain hooked. We become addicted due to the intermittent reinforcement. If the narcissist was all good, we wouldn't have a problem. If he was all bad, we probably wouldn't have a problem either because we wouldn't be confused about the nature of that person and it would be easier to leave. It's the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde flipping that causes the issue because when the narcissist is offering love and kindness, it's like a carrot for us. We hold out for that carrot, those small doses of love and kindness that keep us believing that there's something really good here. Mix the intermittent reinforcement with our own self-doubt, and we have an explosive recipe for addiction. When I feel bad about myself and I feel like the problem in the relationship might be my own fault, then it feels good when I get some validation that I am lovable. We may find ourselves holding out for crumbs of kindness, believing on some level that this is all we deserve. Okay, so what happens when the narcissist discards you and is off living his life with someone else? It may seem clear that the relationship is over, but there's still a part of you that can't let go. You are no longer getting intermittent reinforcement. However, you still have the memory of it. There may still be a belief that he will return, even if you know on so many levels it wouldn't be good for you. And sometimes the narcissist does return for a quick fix, and then off to the new girlfriend or boyfriend again. When we hold on to a belief that this is love, we discount everything, including the new girlfriend or boyfriend. We need to believe that we are somehow more special to the narcissist than the current supply. And we just buy our time waiting for him or her to figure it out. In a situation like this, the worst fear we have is that the new source of supply, the new girlfriend or boyfriend, has the magic stuff and will be everything that person ever wanted that we were not. Especially when the Mr. Hyde part of the narcissistic personality has listed your deficits so many times. You imagine that the new supply doesn't have those deficits that you have, so your ex, who was so miserable with you, can now be deliriously happy with someone else. Okay, this is another lie that you are hiding behind. It's usually our core shame that is driving this obsession, our belief in our own unworthiness. We believe we aren't good enough, that there's something wrong with us, that we're not lovable. The narcissist has found us out and discarded us in favor of someone who is worthy. We want the narcissist to see the error of his or her ways and make amends. We want an apology. We want resolution. We want closure. With a narcissist, we won't get any of these things that we want. We will be devalued. We will be talked about negatively. There may be vicious rumors spread about our character. The narcissist will blame us for everything. We won't ever get that apology. We won't have resolution. This is why I tell those who are obsessing about the narcissist that they need to connect with their core wounds and begin to heal them. Of course, it's not true that you are unworthy or not good enough. That is the lie. But until you stop believing the lie, you're going to be run by it. Ultimately, we don't let go because we want that person who has decided that we are not worth anything to see us as good. We want to be redeemed. We want to be spoken about favorably, not unfavorably. We don't want our good name smeared. We want that closure. So guess what? We have to deal with it. We have to learn how to stop wanting these things and find the resolution and closure within ourselves. We have to accept things as they are, accept reality, accept the truth. When it comes to the rumors and the character assassination, we have to deal with this too. We need to know the truth about ourselves and stop feeling that we have to prove ourselves to anyone. It needs to be enough that you know who you are. The truth always comes out in the end. I ran into a friend that I hadn't seen in 10 years, And actually, she was introduced to me by an ex. And when I saw her, she came up to me and she apologized to me. She told me that my ex stayed with her for a while, and it was horrible. She ended up having to call the sheriff to have him removed from her property. And by this time, I was so resolved in my relationship with this ex, I didn't care anymore. It was so long ago. I was no longer looking for validation. And that's often when it comes, is when it's so far beyond us that we're not looking for it anymore. We don't care anymore. I know I was a little confused because I never remembered telling this friend about the issues I had with this man who was also her friend. And when I told her this, she says, yes, but he talked about you. He was always talking badly about you. Evidently, the reason she was apologizing is that she believed the things that he told her until she had the opportunity to see who he really was. And this is an example of the truth coming out in the end. Is that if you give somebody enough rope, this is an old saying, give somebody enough rope, they're going to hang themselves. So what I learned from this friend is that my ex went downhill very fast after he disappeared from my life. He ended up with a woman who was far worse than he was, and he was fighting against himself. They were both impoverished and struggling. And my friend said he was always talking negatively about his girlfriend and would go between being mean to her and being loving. Wow, did this ever sound familiar? So his behavior was exactly the same with her as it was with me. I learned the hard way that I can't be attached to what people say about me. I have to know myself and know my own worth. And people really don't have the power to make us feel bad about ourselves. We do this all on our own. The lies others tell about us only have power if we ourselves believe the lies. We often try and get others to see the truth only because we're afraid the lies might be true. Let go of needing to defend yourself against the lies told about you by the narcissist. You don't have to defend yourself or explain yourself. You do need to love yourself and embrace yourself. What is your hook? What is it you are afraid that you can't resist should the narcissist in your life return? Is it his or her charm? The charisma? The belief that this is really love? The need for validation? The need for closure? Do you feel sorry for him or her? What is the lie or the lies that you are believing? Write them down. You need to know yourself and your own weaknesses. And if you don't become aware of what is controlling you, you will continue to be manipulated by it. You also need to know that you're worth being treated with kindness and respect, and you have to start treating yourself with kindness and respect. We often unconsciously attract people who will treat us the way we treat ourselves. Learning to treat yourself with love, kindness, and respect is so very important. Don't wait for the narcissist in your life to show you kindness. Don't hold out for that carrot. Give it to yourself. Be kind to yourself by not allowing abusive people into your life anymore. Instead of telling yourself, I can't let go, try telling yourself, I can let go. Because you can let go. I've seen thousands of men and women involved with a narcissist let go and move on with their lives. You're not the only one who can't do this. You are one of many who have the power to do this. Perhaps you are stronger than you've come to believe that you are, and maybe this experience has come to you to show you the strength that you didn't know you had, the strength that is inside of you. It's not to be found in another person, it's within you. So find your strength. Find the strength to say no more. You can't rely on the narcissist to do this for you. If you keep opening your door and letting the narcissist walk right through, that person will walk through just for kicks, pull the rug out from underneath you again, and walk away again. You can't blame the scorpion for stinging or the snake for biting. You have to take responsibility for opening that door, for answering that text message, for picking up that phone, for stalking on social media. You have to take responsibility for saying yes when you should be saying no. The number one reason people can't let go is they can't accept the truth. When you can't accept the truth, you live a lie. I have had clients come to me for narcissistic abuse counseling, tell me the reasons why their partner or ex-partner might not be a narcissist, even though all the evidence led them to seeking counseling from a specialist in narcissistic abuse. Perhaps they're looking for my validation that this person may not be a narcissist. But what I do is tell them to throw away the diagnosis and instead look at the behavior. Is this the kind of behavior you want to live with? Probably not. The common myth is, if he's not a narcissist, he can change, right? Don't get caught in this trap. Maybe he isn't a narcissist. Maybe he's a sex addict, a drug addict, an alcoholic, a commitment phobe, emotionally unavailable, a pathological liar, or all of the above. Does it matter? People don't change unless they're ready to change, and if their way of life is serving them, they'll have no incentive to change. So don't fall into the trap of waiting for someone else to change. You are the only one you have power over. You are the one who can change. You can stop accepting undesirable behavior in your intimate partners. Women are known for getting involved with fixer-uppers. I've talked about this before. Men are not houses. What you see is what you get. So women, don't get involved or stay involved with a man because he has potential. Don't fall in love with potential. Potential won't cut it. Fall for a man who has already realized his potential and who is already demonstrating the awesomeness that you know he's capable of. Fall for a man who already consistently treats you with love, respect, and kindness on a consistent basis. Don't make excuses for bad behavior, and don't give out third chances. Second chances, maybe under the right circumstances, but no third chances. Have a 2 strikes you're out policy. If someone is abusive twice, it's 2 times too much. If someone cheats on you twice, it's 2 times too much. If someone lies twice, it's 2 times too much. In some cases, 1 strike is enough, such as cheating or lying, because if someone lies or cheats once, they're probably going to do it again. Men are usually hooked by sex, so if you're a man trying to recover from a narcissistic abuse situation at the hands of a woman, you are most likely to be manipulated by her charm and her sexuality, if not by her tears and apparent helplessness. We all seem to fall for the tears and the helplessness. It appeals to our compassion and our desire to rescue the needy. But if we could step back and consider our own needs, we would soon realize that our rescuing nature is not serving us. We can't be giving to others from an empty well. So get to really know yourself. If you need help identifying your hooks, your weaknesses, and your vulnerabilities that are keeping you in the toxic game, give me a call and let's work with this. Sometimes we need help. There's no shame in this. I've sought counseling after most of my relationships to get help to process through them, especially the toxic ones. Getting help is a sign of strength, not weakness, because it takes courage to explore your inner self with an objective third party. Just remember that you're not alone, and you can do this. For more information, please visit my website at narcissismfree.com. And I want to thank you for listening. Have a great day.